I wish I could give you better news, but yesterday we watched it in real time, and on social media, on Bloomberg, and on all the major outlets, they're playing it off as a dovish meeting yesterday. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think at the very end he tried to walk it back and make it sound dovish, but he was very hawkish in his tone, which is not good for risk assets. And yesterday, when he made those comments, I said it's time to sell. Said it yesterday, it's the time to sell. I said it inside of the actual thing if you were watching it. And it was at the moment because he started walking back a hawkish tone in the last like 6 or 7 minutes. And that told me he panicked, but he was very hawkish. And it told me we're going to have an immediate pull down here after that initial run up, how we had yesterday. It doesn't seem good to me. It seemed like a setup to drop the market. And I don't know why everybody's talking dovish. I'm not saying you had to sell. I'm just saying that could have been a moment to sell. I'm not saying I'm like, hey, everybody sell your stuff. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just saying that was a moment where if you were going to sell, you could have. Is what I'm saying. Let me rephrase it. But I don't know if this is going to continue pulling down from here. But it certainly feels like we're at a freaking cliff right now. So I don't want to tell you what to do or what to tell you what to do yesterday, like I said. But this is what the way he was talking yesterday was very bad for risk assets. Very bad. And he tried to walk it back, and it gave us that immediate push up to that liquidity zone. Even he couldn't push it all the way up past 95. I don't believe it hit. We came up to a strong liquidity that helped us have a bigger push down today. So yeah, by him talking like that, it got it up to a liquidity zone here that we can tap back into today. And I want to read something that I put out about the market. And if you're in the Telegram, you've already seen it. But I want to share it with everybody and read it in a minute. Because of what Jerome Powell said yesterday, when he tried to walk it back, like he was very hawkish. Immediately, that means they're trying to dump the market. He tried to go dovish in the last about 6 minutes. Just to try to walk it back. And when he walked it back a little bit, it gave the market enough time to come through right about here. And everybody in the strongest liquidity zone, believe it or not, got liquidated. Now, it didn't come to 95.1, but it took out the strongest area of liquidity. So by him just walking it back for 1 minute, now it might have missed this candle on some exchanges, but by him walking it back for 1 minute, a bunch of people got liquidated, lots of people. But he couldn't walk it back enough. So and it was a pretty efficient double top here on Bitcoin, which is a scary thing, which we got to see in real freaking time. You got a top here on Tuesday, another top here on Wednesday, perfectly. What the hell is that noise? Hold on, I want to see something. I hear some like beeping noise. Hold on. Oh, sorry about that. All right. So as we're looking at the market here, it's pretty oversold here in the 2 hourly. It's just hopefully this is more of like an inverse head and shoulders building. But that initial drop, it seemed like, I'm not saying that it's going to go farther, but that initial drop at least, just their tone throughout the whole thing, it seemed like it was pointing more towards that. But we still have a lot of liquidity over the top too. It's just the way it built this out is something to be concerned about right now, because if unless we're building this inverse right shoulder and it was tapping it, but it's going to be interesting because we absolutely came up and got rejected right where we should have if we're almost like in a bear flag, and that's kind of scary because that's a pretty big one too, and then that would get us down to that 72. Like once we get into that red circle, it's a big liquidity. Not liquidity, but it's a big like downward tug. But hopefully this was just, hey, we needed to initially scare people out. We had a massive amount of liquidity building up. And then when everybody thought it was going to go up, at least they could come down here. So maybe, like with Bitcoin, maybe it's building like an inverse pattern here over the top. Maybe. And that's why on this chart I put this, because I wanted to keep it within rationale, especially in the live, that as long as we're on the top side of this, it's technically back testing a little breakout here. So that's where we're at right now. What's that number? So we got to keep it in perspective, but at the same time understand this is a big moment here. We want to hold 89,785. And immediately we at least got a double bottom, it looks like, in the 4-hourly if it can hold. This would be nice. So massively oversold in the 4-hourly too. So let's just see how this plays out here in the morning. Now, we could get a sudden... The problem is here is it's easier for people to sell than people to find money lying around. Remember that. So it's easier. So, and yesterday we talked about how let's just pay attention to the market because it'll be your signal with XDC. And everything is about a day ahead. So that's a very easy signal there right now from yesterday. We got the ability to watch. That's why I like XDC. You can basically watch a day behind and see what the market's going to do. I'm going to make sure if Julie needs help. I think something's going on with our, I don't know. listen to what it's going. That sounds like it used to before. Really, this sounds like this goes. It sounds like you're I feel like that sounds better. Well, we'll see. All right, sorry everybody, I had to help Julie. Something on the washer wasn't proper, so I wanted to go in there to make sure something wasn't going to happen. But we'll see. I wanted to make sure that something wasn't going to, like, the water wasn't going to shoot out or something. You know, when you own a home, sometimes there's unexpected things that happen, and unfortunately, I just started this live. But thank you everybody for tuning in. I'm very, very proud, blessed, pleased, honored, and everything in between to have all of you in here. It is going to be a rocky road because Jerome Powell, when he spoke yesterday, for anybody who was here, for anybody who was able to see it, I'll give you a little rundown and a little written statement that I wrote, and we'll go through it from there. So, good morning. 10:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, December 11th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So for anybody who missed the Fed rate hike meeting, hell, here, I'll go on Facebook. Telegram's a special thing. If you're in it, you're in it. If you're not, it's a special thing. So on Facebook, make sure to follow me. They don't promote me, so you're not going to find me unless you search for me, and make sure you actually go to the right person. But anyhow, the Federal Reserve's anticipated 25 basis point interest rate reduction excited a diverse and fluctuated response within the broader cryptocurrency market, including XRP. The assertion that the 25 base point cut placed XRP in the overall crypto market under pressure is only partially accurate. The prevailing negative sentiment was primarily influenced by the Federal Reserve's cautious communication and future economic outlook rather than solely by the magnitude of the rate cut. Initial positive momentum followed by a decline. Immediately following the rate cut announcement, cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP, prominent altcoins like XRP, experienced an initial upward trajectory. This is typically observed as lower interest rates tend to favor risk assets by enhancing market liquidity. The hawkish cost and subdued outlook, the subsequent downturn in crypto price, which included XRP registering loss alongside with other major altcoins, was predominantly instigated by the Federal Reserve's commentary. The official statement and Chairman Powell's remarks were perceived as more cautious or hawkish than many traders had anticipated. This tone suggested that future rate reductions might be more gradual or contingent on incoming data, thereby moderating expectations for aggressive monetary easing. XRP's specific performance initial reports regarding XRP's immediate reactions were varied. Some earlier analysts indicated positive inflows and price increases following rate cuts, while more recent data reveals that XRP, along with other altcoins, experienced losses as the market assimilated the cautious forward guidance. Broader macroeconomic context, generally lower interest rates are considered a long-term positive for speculative assets like cryptocurrency, as they diminish the attractiveness of interest-bearing assets such as bonds and redirect capital towards riskier investments. However, short-term volatility is frequently driven by how the Federal Reserve's message influences investor expectations concerning future policy. In conclusion, the 25 base point rate cut itself was not the sole determinant. Rather, it was the Federal Reserve's accompanying commentary and the indication of a more challenging trajectory for future easing and that prompted a retreat and correction across the broader cryptocurrency market, including XRP. So that's what I shared in regards to this. I put it in the Telegram as well, and now I'm sharing it here on YouTube. That's what ended up happening initially. Now, does it play forward like this completely? We won't know that until we see if we get rejected at these levels or if this is actually a final tap of support that will now allow us, after the beginning drop down, a push back through. So, based on some of the commentary, it looks like silver hit an all-time high again. But now it's come down just a tiny bit. I haven't looked at metals at all. Silver looks like, oh no, I don't think it hit the all-time high. Nope, it didn't hit it yet. In fact, we need to make a high here, otherwise in the short term. Yeah, but this we're trying to see if we can layer up here from a little flag setting. If we can break back up and not put a double top in here, and we're at 62, we need to break 62.87. So about 10 cents here. Silver's up about 1.77%, or about $1.08 per ounce right now. Mining stocks are surprisingly, not surprisingly and not so surprisingly, but gold, Barrett's up almost 0.5% to 31.51. B2 gold up 1.6% to $4.76. Gold's up $14 to 4,241 per ounce, better than 1/3%. We talked about silver, up to 62.78, up $1.10 or 1.8%. The gold silver ratio continues to plummet down another 1.25% to 67.49. We've got Pan America silver hitting a new all-time high, up another 4%. Or $1.99 per share, up to $50.65. I can't even believe I'm saying that. It wasn't too long ago we were buying it at 16 and 22. Now it's at 50 plus. Huh? I don't know, because it always plays down to a moment, and then it goes to an error code. Because I hit it before I started my live, and then it started beeping right when I started.
Well, it hasn't beeped yet,
so. Hecla Mining up 5.35% at 91 cents per share to $18.10. That too is at a yearly high. We were buying it at $4 the last time, at like 42 or 32, when it had a weird pull down after great earnings, and we're like, this is a steal, and then it just... Fortuna, I believe, is going to have a big push here at some point. Once it gets over $10, I think we're going to get a $2 to $3 move very quickly. But it's got to get over that $10 resistance, up 2.36%, or almost a quarter, to $9.76. Silvercorp Mining is getting close here to another big move if it can continue in this positioning. Gets over $9, look out. Up 2.54% to $8.47. And Dolly Varden's the one that I have my eye on right now. I'm almost considering, but I'm not going to. I was considering, selling out a different commodity, but I'm not going to do it. I think, though, I'm going to invest deeper into Dolly Varden as we speak right now, because it had the back test. And I think it's getting ready for a move, especially with this new news of the acquisition or this merger. So I think I am going to increase my holdings in Dolly Varden. It's been on my mind all week. It's just, is it the right time? It's with the news. I actually like what we were hearing. It's just, you start to look through the metrics, and it's in the daily, yeah, we're way up there. But it looks like a bounce point. Weekly's got a beautiful spacing, and then the monthly, it's hooking right now. This almost is hooking. So it's either we're getting ready for a massive parabolic spike here, and in the short term, it looks like we are. With all the news, it looks like we are. And I want more exposure here, especially with what I read and what we see happening. And it back tested, and now it looks like it's getting ready to break out. It's always a dicey game to play. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a dicey game. Like, is it going to pan out? Nobody really knows. But it definitely looks like it's one that's majorly behind. I know we're talking about crypto and the volatility, but where money finds yield. So where one sector has volatility, the other one will have opportunity. But you got to watch it like a fine-tooth comb, otherwise you get bit in the ass. Let's see. Just looking at all the positioning that it would cost. It's that news. It's that news that makes it desirable. Yes, the movement of silver, the continuation, actually makes it very desirable as well. But at some point, I know there's gonna be a pullback every step of the way after a while. But with the way that the Fed talks, they just make it so easy for these to run, and there's such a shortage right now, and the target's 93, so it's within range. Oh no, with this drop, it presented opportunity in crypto too. Like, I don't mind your algo buy this morning. It was down 4%. I think everybody who was patient and bought this morning, actually, that's why I was saying, yeah, the immediate drop is fine, and it was caused by the hawkish tone, but we still got topside liquidity to come after. So that's what we're trying to discuss here this morning. Are we going to have you know, a continuation here. You know, are we going to have some kind of continuation to the top side? Because we very well could. We very well could. Man, silver though, it looks like for silver, I mean, and this would be dangerous for the US dollar because something worse is going on. If this just goes unabated here again, it's almost unbelievable what's going on here. And it's positioned itself. If it makes a new break here, I mean, you're talking several dollars. It's just going to shoot up again. There's a reason why some of these miners have reacted like this. Like Pan America being over 50 is just weird. What's going on in the miner outlook here? Oh, dang. Fuck, that looks so good. That's a nice inverse pattern, big reversal, back tested. Jesus Lord. What do you guys think of that chart? Like if you're looking at a crypto chart that looked like that with silver leading the way for its move, I mean that looks like it's getting ready. Doesn't that look like it's getting ready for a breakout again? And it back tested the pattern breakout perfectly. Like it looks like that was a rising triangle that it broke out of and it back tested. Which would have been like this after we had all the evidence. See, I didn't have all when I was doing it years ago. This is pretty fucking crazy. I was looking at these orders and stuff because there's a lot of for Dolly Varden right now on okay, it filled now, but there's a lot of stuff going on Dolly Varden on JP Morgan trading app. There's a lot of interest right now. Holy hell. I had to do the limit order, but I had to look at the in between because there's a little bit of a spread. So if I would have put, so don't do a market order. There's a lot of interest there. Holy moly. So I upped mine at well, now it went to 469, but it filled mine at 467 just now. Oh, holy. Ripple and CFTC big news. Man, I'm trying to figure out here, everybody, if we're about to have that pull down here or if this is actually back testing support. Because it's literally, it's either now or we have to come down to $1.85 at minimum. And XRP in the daily, that's a shitty candle. The daily's not great, but I guess it could pull up now. But it's trying to break bearish. It almost looks like with that hawkish talk, they're trying to drop it initially. That's what I tried to say coming on here. You know, but I don't want to influence anybody. It's we're in a very perplexing spot, like no doubt. It's not just XRP, it's everything. Like look at the positioning. Band. Remember what we said, if it gets rejected here, there's no reason to hold it. This has been our talk. If it's below here and gets rejected, there's no reason to hold until it proves it can retake it. Otherwise, they're going to start. My fear is that everything's going to come down real quick because of the dailies and most of them now. That they're going to come down here and retest that exit wick, or what we can call the liquidity wick, from the October 10th drop. That's my fear right now. That everything's actually going to go on a hunt here because he got hawkish. And I'm not very happy about the fact he was so hawkish. And some of them are showing early warning signs that that could be happening. And like, there's nothing you can do here because if you want to own this asset, you can't own SHX right now, especially the positioning, unless you're buying on the fact that it's giving you a steal underneath and you're going to play it back up. Then it would be a good spot. But while it was up here the last few days, it was out of bounds. That's why you can't do anything there. You got to wait for it to come into this zone. And then if it breaks down, it's going to come into here. The 2 hourly is massively oversold, but when you start getting into the 4 hourly, it suggests there's a lot of room here to pull this down. It's a scary, that hawk is, I was mad when he did it too. I kept saying, it's bad enough that he only did 25 basis points, but his tone was so damn hawkish. Until, remember, he tried to walk it back the last like 6 minutes. And it would make sense in the weekly too, because this could back test the eventual move out, coming back down and giving it plenty of time for a few days to pull down here a little bit farther, because the 4 hourly is showing us that it's got it's very unusual for it to just pull up here. It usually comes right back down and retest that break point. Like, to me, this doesn't look good. His hawkish tone yesterday was not good. I hope my perception's wrong, but there's two things that go into it. When gold and silver are going up, particularly silver just made a new all-time high. Lord have mercy. And like somebody asked me, would you buy Dolly Varden? What mining stock would you buy? Well, you just seen me double my position in Dolly Varden. So even if it goes down, I'm not fearful. If it breaks the structure and it shows that this back test is invalidated, okay, I'll just sell it. If it showed me that $4 couldn't hold, I have the choice to sell it, right? But to me, I don't know. And it's different than crypto. We don't have that bullish catalyst leading the way. And there was something big that happened with Dolly Varden. I read about it yesterday to everybody. I don't know. And then with crypto, everything is strategically put in what looks like inverse head and shoulders. So like, but some of them now have invalidated it. Like look at Algo. It's technically, if you were looking at that for a possible inverse pattern, I mean, left shoulder, head, but the right shoulder is, I mean, it came down farther than the head now. And now it's massively oversold in the 4 hourly. But the daily, you know, it's got us in a positioning where maybe we're going to come down here to the bottom of this pattern and retest that wick. That's what I'm saying. And if we come down here, we'll make a new low, which is probably what we need to do, and get rid of all that nonsense. But this could be interesting. I think we're going to lower liquidity personally. Bitcoin to 100K then drop. It's possible. That would be the angle that we would want it to play. But with his hawkish tone, I don't know if that's going to happen first. This actually is setting up the curvature now of a right shoulder on a bigger bear flag. Well, not a right shoulder, but, well, a baby shoulder. More taking the stairs or elevator now? I don't know. But if this gets rejected here, it's a death cross. And guess what? You got all the signals now in the daily. 20 cross to 50 to cause concern from a bearish fashion. That's called a bearish cross in the exponential moving averages, the EMA lines. You'll learn more about this if anybody takes my class when it's available. But this is something that goes deep. Deep! Because it's the early indicator warning signal. And then you look at the stochastic and you see how early it is. And see down here it was still needed to have these. But look at this is what we try to preach sometimes. See the stochastic, how up here, right? Dumps all the way down to oversold. Everybody expects it to make a bigger run up. Look how quickly it got overbought because there's no volume. There's no pressure. So, and that's why I love this indicator. It's so sensitive to the immediate action. So now the EMAs, you got the exponential moving average. Red is the 20-day. So that's anything that happens that's tradable, buying and selling from the last 20 days on this project, this asset, this particular token, Bitcoin. Then you've got the orange is the 50-day moving average. Usually people use the 50, 100, 200. They don't want to see the first 49 days for some reason. I hate that because then it's a true lagging indicator, which it already is. But you're going to miss the boat. So that's everything that's happened 50 days and out. You know, from here to 50 days ago. Then you've got the 100-day, which is the blue, or the light green, bluish, greenish, bluish. That's everything from today and back 100 days. And then the blue is the 200-day moving average. So that's in the last 200 days of trading activity. Now, what ends up happening here is when you go up, you have a bullish cross, which is good, yada, yada, yada. It breaks through the golden cross regions, and then you're cooking. Unfortunately, right now, in the daily, nonetheless, which is a very efficient time frame because it's a 24-hour period spread over 200 days, you've got the 20 breaking through the 50, bearish cross. Yada, 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 works its way through. It doesn't really matter. Well, that's not technically the bearish cross you're looking for. You're waiting for the 20 to recross the 200. This was early signal that something ain't right. We shouldn't have recrossed ourselves. We should have held it from a bullish perspective and broke out here. So now we came down and got rejected here after the bearish cross. So we have a bearish cross, 20 crossing the 200, breaks down, not good. Rejected, not a good sign. So that's our signal. Now, you get validation, in my opinion, when the 50 crosses the 200. 50 crosses the 200. Now it's more than a signal. Now you've got validation, and you're like, uh-oh. Now we've got to really pay attention here. We've got one chance to break through this. And if we break down from here, you know, because it had the cross, that's when you got the 50. Now all of a sudden, you're making this pattern, and you're just unable to break past the 20, and it's caused even more pressure. So now all of a sudden, the 100 crosses the 200. Now you're sitting there going, oh, shit. Now we've got confirmation. Generally, when you get confirmation, there's no turning back, and you're going to your projected target. Unless you get a sneaky move back up where you get a top wick or some kind of news happens. But right now, it's not building a very bullish setup. This could almost be perceived as a bear flag setting up, with the series of perpetual higher highs and higher lows at the same time. So this is telling us, get ready for that big red circle there with the way it's projecting itself. Now, what could have saved us was Jerome Powell coming on and not being a hawkish prick. But that's exactly what he was. And I didn't want a 25 base point rate cut. I said it from the beginning that was baked in. It was baked into the market. So my own perception says just let it go. You just sit back. So I know you guys know what I did yesterday. I let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Not XRP, but let it go. But everything else, besides XRP Healthcare. And, you know, like Epic because of the situation with Crypto.com. So, but yeah, I'm not doing anything besides what the market told me to do. And now if it goes back up and I have to rebuy and look like an asshole, I'm okay with that. But I'm telling you, on KRAKEN Pro, and there's a link in the video description below under pinned comments, it's a tier 1 exchange and has fire blocks. But fire blocks only work if you have an ID link to it. If you're on an OKYC exchange and they have fire blocks, it's not linked to you. So they can just say that account didn't exist. You know, use your brain now in this time of theft by the exchanges. So we have KRAKEN Pro, and when I sold all my stuff, it was basically the same as on a no KYC exchange, but I'm staying in lateral movement now. XDC, Algo, you know, certain tokens that are easier to move, like Band was easy. And SHX has been it's been pretty simple on the buys. Now, if you wait to sell it on one of these drops, it's going to kick you in the dick. But I want to see how this is going to play out on some of it. Because I have the way it's setting up, I sometimes come to the mindset, prove it. You got to prove it to me if you want me to hold you. And I hope it proves it to me, because there's a very simple buy when it comes back past those thresholds I just showed you. But I don't want to be caught in this nonsense. I really don't. But we got to break through 80. Oh, we're below 89,785 now, aren't we? Hey, but the whole time I got to say, well, it's not so bad. We're above that 89,780. Well, not anymore. Julie, is it fucked up again?
Yeah.
Why?
Maybe it's how it's draining.
What do you mean? How it's draining? What do you mean? Hold on one sec. I'm not sure what's going on in there. One sec. All right, sorry about that, everybody. The new washer and dryer we got, for some reason, it's saying the washer's not filling up enough with water. So, who knows? Maybe it's a piece of shit, and they got to come back out here. But who knows? I don't know. I'll deal with that after the live. But it's always something, isn't it? Always something. Let me make it clear. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just what I do. I don't know if it's going to continue through. Like, we need to get a further push down here. Right now, we could be validating a move. Like, I'm not joking. This could validate a further move up, too. But fortunately, for the way I play things, I've got the ability to watch this now because XDC is always a day behind. You know, and just the way the rest of the market moves, it depends on good news. It doesn't like hawkishness in the market. It really doesn't. The market doesn't like hawkish. And then we look at where is money more comfortable in risk or not. Well, look at this. Gold's up 26 now, and now silver hit a new all-time high over 63. It's interesting. Like, listen to this. The Dow is up 440 points. The NASDAQ is down 216, and that's what you need to pay attention to. And the S&P is also down 17. The Dow has not, like, zero impact to crypto, but when I watch the NASDAQ getting hammered, unlike the Dow, something's going on here. They're trying to make it look better than it is in the stock market because the NASDAQ's getting crushed. And maybe it'll pop up like the Dow, but man, that seems to be weird that it's a complete opposite. That's the pre-wash. It pours a little water with soap at first. Yeah, and then it gives us an error signal that says it's not getting enough water. So I'm not sure why that is. I don't know why. I honestly don't know. My other washer that was in there worked fine. You know, as far as filling up and stuff, it was just old and it had the stuff had a crack on the front on the screen. So I don't know what the hell is going on, to be honest with you. I don't know if they did something wrong or what, or if it's just faulty. Who knows? You know, things are just junk. Why isn't this moving at all? Is it just stuck? Okay, so it's just kind of hanging out here for the last couple of minutes. I'm hoping that it's updated. I need to know what happens here and all of this in a very real time. So I want to know if this is just coming down for some meaningless nonsense and then it's going to break out again, or if this is something real that we actually have to be concerned about. Because as of right now, we haven't broken down anything yet. This is fine. This is just match some, you know, get everybody scared right now. We haven't done anything bad yet. Right now, we're trying to validate that we're not going to break down. And if that's the case, you know, but I've already stated I'm trying to find a way to just stay deeper into XDC now, and being able to ride the market a day behind is, I'm kind of liking it. I got to wait for the move up and then just let, what's this thing? So if it's the pre-wash, does that mean that I'm going to have to look at it after I end the live? The NASDAQ ETF just filled the gap from the late October run-up. Its support kind of has to be right now. No, I'm looking at that chart on the NASDAQ, so it's either got a pull-up. That's what I was saying. Maybe it's working on a pull-up now. Because you just don't generally see almost 1% move up in the Dow and have a 0.9% drop, or now it's 0.86%, but a drop that big in the NASDAQ, it just doesn't usually happen. That's a big divergence. Maybe this will lead to a move up from crypto. Because money's got to find yield somewhere, unless it's all going into gold and silver and mining stocks. Because money's got to find yield, so but it's not finding it in crypto right now because everybody's so petrified to trade. It was the way Jerome Powell sounded. That's all. He was hawkish in his talk. I mean, he did walk it back some. To me, it's crazy that we're at 29. It went too high too quick. It got too high too quick. To me. So, I don't like how it went up that quick. I would have rather the perception went back to extreme fear. But yeah, silver's just going ballistic. It's just going ballistic. It's actually pretty crazy. I'm glad to see that this stuff is reversing. We talked about our theory that oil, because of the way Trump and the illusion and everything, it has to come down hard before it starts having a big pump out. So we're waiting for this to bottom out and maybe have a catastrophic drop, because then they can tout how low oil's gotten and stuff like that. CJ2 Pilot, be safe, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XP 589 Moon Badge. Is driving, but he's being safe. It's all an illusion. Mark Cass and A-Man and Bado Damas, along with I seen another person too with it. 1970 Legend, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Badge. It's all an illusion. Thanks for the $5 super chat. Also in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. It's glad I caught the live today. Had some orders fill overnight and didn't feel great. Tight stops. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, tight stop loss are fine. You want to make sure that it comes through this support structure, which right now it's through the support structure for Bitcoin, but it doesn't mean, wow. Because if it happens, all of a sudden our alts are going to go down from 3-4% to 15. It's going to be one of those kind of things. That's the problem. And there's really going to be no recourse unless you're just sidelined. It's just going to happen quick if it happens. But one could argue that if it's going to break up, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to have that big breakthrough. Total crypto market cap, we know the Mendoza line. The rejection, remember? We talked about rejection up here. Should send us down here in time. Mendoza line in real time. It needs to stay over 2.93 trillion. Otherwise, it's going to hit this technical move down. That gets us around 2.52 just from the breakdown of what looks like. And that's a small angle. It could go all the way to 192 down to 185 potentially. But that's that little rising wedge that it had that it's breaking down out of. And the total pretty much emulated Bitcoin with the breakdown of the rising wedge. And this doesn't look good. Like, this doesn't look good. That dot cross just got validation. So, you know, I'm going to bet it. I'm not betting against the dot cross in the daily on the total that has already had the dot cross, started with the bearish, had the dot cross confirmed with the 20 through the 200. Then it got the 50 through the 200 to signal it. I mean, for validation, because we had the signal. And then we got the ultimate confirmation with the 100 just crossing the 200. Like, this is a breaking event in the last several days, a day or so. Now you've got the confirmation of the dot cross. You had this have the artificial breakout for 2 days and put in a clear double top yesterday. Rejected today at the 20-day as it stands. And now you basically have one last support structure that was artificially built. That is basically my own perception. At 2.93 trillion, and then it falls to the walls down. It's going to be a problem. This is as real as I can be, everybody. You like real. I like real. I'd rather know what's going on than not. I'd rather somebody slap me in the face than lead me in the wrong direction. But I want to know the truth, so that's the truth. We haven't died yet, so don't think that's the case. But if we fall below these lines that are quickly approaching, then we might have a problem. Not might, we will have a problem. Bitcoin needs to figure out if it wants to stay over 89,780 something or not. Because the longer it stays down here, the more chances there are that it's going to break down. You know, that's a tumultuous moment right now. 89,785. Basically, you have that moment now. It's got to either... Every time it gets back up there, now it just dumps $100 to kind of be like, hey, we're below it. But everything's stuck in crypto. Like the look at a lot of these are stuck at this exact spot. A lot of the altcoins. That means we're literally having all of the trading bots are getting ready to do the same thing. So do you think it's going to be buy up or sell down? And with gold and silver, money finds yield. Money finds yield. Money finds yield. How many times do I have to scream it? Money finds yield. Money finds. So if it's risky and they're not in risk assets on risk on, they're going to gold and silver and mining stocks, the things that get it out of the ground. I proclaimed in January this was going to be the easiest bull run we've ever seen in our lives outside of crypto. And it is. Because no one's talking about it. Even on here, when gold fell on the news, they finally started talking about it and said it crashed. Mind you, gold went from probably right around where it was now, and it fell down to like, did it ever even break 3,000 or 4,000? I don't think it did. Not even close. Let's see. No, it might have for a split second, actually. Because it had the big pull down from here. So we were at 4,385. And it came down to 3,881. And they proclaimed like gold had just had the biggest crash of all times and it died. Right? Mind you, we're talking about a price that's still at $3,880. But we got that 11.5% pullback roughly in the middle of a bull run. Do you know how important that is for continuation? And we haven't even validated a double top that could create a, and this could be a rising triangle and not a rising wedge. See, that's what we need to pay attention to. So like all of this was super bullish for gold. Silver, and I keep saying eventually, but eventually might be much higher if this continues because the Fed keeps giving us softballs here. Silver came down, believe it or not, 17% almost. That's a huge pullback. But like I've proclaimed many times, it's going to eat it all up very quickly. And then we have the perfect catalyst right now. The U.S. is going to die right now. The dollar is going to die. The U.S. as we know it is going to die, which means we're screwed as a. But that also leads opportunity. So let's pay attention to Bitcoin and see if we just maybe hold here and see if there's an opportunity to. I want opportunity. So if opportunity presents itself and this is tapping a support and then we don't give it away, that's good. But it's got to prove that it can invalidate what we're seeing here with that confirmation of the death cross. That is not a good signal. So we need some upward volatility in the quickest possible fashion that you can imagine. Otherwise it gets spicy. Joseph Euler, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRB Predictor. And also a gifted sub this morning. Thank you so much for gifting a sub. Aaron Reynolds got it, and he's back in Tom's Army for 6+ months now with the XRB Predictor. What a super generous act by you, my friend. You're a class act, Joseph. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. The Fed is going to start its monthly buying of Treasury bills tomorrow, 12/12 at $40 billion a month. That's the part that is speculative, but that's why I have my eye on the pulse right now. Like maybe this is the reversal because once they do that, that means they're buying up everything. A rising triangle is just price action that's appreciating over time, and it's doing a steady support resistance with there's a lot more pressure there. But the rising wedge, it's tightening, and the reason it's tightening is because the sellers are outpacing the buyers, and it ends up being a bearish proclamation. A rising triangle is basically just coming up to resistance. We get some sell-offs, it retaps the support, but there's overwhelming buyers, which makes it almost expandable. It starts real wide, and it doesn't fully converge like a wedge. More like it looks more like a triangle. They're very similar though, and it's very hard to decipher them. It's more about the projectile than anything, and more about the buying and selling pressure that ends up playing true with all of these. That's a very interesting point though, Cannabis Podcast, that you present. That the Fed buying the Treasury bills tomorrow, like, let's see what AI interprets this as with the fat
General
pie.
consensus among market analysts is that Federal Reserve, Fed, buying Treasury bonds or bills, a form of quantitative easing.
Because that's when it's supposed to inject the capital, so it's wild timing.
Why it's bullish for crypto, increased liquidity.
That's what I mean. Like, this could be very... So, here's the thing. Like, for me, I have to make the decision if the 4% or 3.5% drop or whatever it was on these was good enough. Because the whole point of doing what I did was so that I could buy back after whatever this liquidity hunt was. But if they're doing that tomorrow, you would expect them. They want to get the... Listen. So, if they're injecting capital and they're going to buy risk assets, do they want the price to be where it is? Or would they like to come off of a crash right before they do it? Honestly. That's the question. Wouldn't this indicate we should get a wild flush here right before? That's what happens typically. Right before they start buying back, we usually get a nice flush so they get cheaper pricing. But I guess it doesn't matter because they buy it in all different places. But it's not, I don't think it's surprising that we're falling today, especially with what's, yeah, tomorrow is the 12th. You are right about that. But the dollar, oh, it's already screwed. When they print on the printing presses, it's screwed. That's why gold and silver started going up. And now we have to wonder, how much higher is gold and silver going to go today? That's what we have to wonder. You know? There's going to be some top-end pressure here that ends up pulling us down a little bit. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that is pointing in a tug, like in a separation here, where we're having a separation moment in the market. I don't know. It kind of feels like we're trying to bottom out here. I like the way it pulled down like this. This could be an opportunity here. What did you do this time, Julie?
It's spinning.
Huh?
Made it spin.
Was it spinning before?
Huh?
Did it spin before?
Well, it's doing it right now.
So what do you think's going on with it? Just a piece of junk? Should I call them? Maybe. But yeah, guys, that's basically what I got. Dealing with this stuff at the house too, so you know how it goes. But we'll watch this. Look for if Bitcoin stays over 89,785 and it can prove it. You could look for opportunity. The problem is we've got these death crosses that have got confirmation, but those are lagging indicators. So if it was going to break out, you know, it could do it from the lagging perspective. So, but yeah. But anyhow, it's been an hour. Be blessed, everybody. I'm going to try to come back here later to try to update on what's actually happening in real time, because this is going to be interesting. Either we're going to get a pull down here today of like 10 to 15% before this happens tomorrow, which to me seems likely. Like they could do something crazy like that overall. So I want to see if they do pull down here, since they are going to be doing the buying up of the treasury. That means quantitative easing starting tomorrow. So I want to see if they pull down here on these asset classes to get cheaper rates and cheaper buys. A lot of times that happens. It really does. That's what's scary about this moment right now. Basically on Bitcoin and the total crypto. Bitcoin, we know the level, and the total crypto market cap right now is like 2.9. What is it? 2.93. No, it's higher. Gotta look at it from the daily perspective. 2.94. That's not a sexy looking picture right there. Now, what could make it sexy is if they inject some capital. Right? We're looking for injections of capital. Oh, there we go. Algo just pulled down a little bit. I was wondering why I was sitting in that exact spot. It looked like there was nothing to pull it up there. But man, this is going to be weird. I'm just going to let everybody watch this so you don't have to keep hearing me talk back and forth in circles, because the circle leads us to the same place. We need some help. We need it now. But the help is coming tomorrow in some ways. We'll just see how much they put towards crypto in the first push. Yeah, point of control from a macro. I don't disagree at 63. I do think there's going to be a temporary temporary tussle on Bitcoin on the way down. And I think it happens at that rising wedge initial breakdown target at 72. But I definitely agree with you with positioning, because I have down at 59,545 is where I think the last stand support would be, because that's the cup and handle back test that we've never got. Like, the fact we haven't had a volatile one is pretty interesting. But yeah, we definitely have a war here. We have a tussle, so to say. But it's fun doing this with each and every one of you, because we can talk. And we can try to enlighten each other and all of it, all of